Hey guys, Matt here with the iTech224 podcast, episode number 1. The other episode was number 0, so this is number 1. And I think I'm going to keep doing these. They were pretty, I liked it. I liked the way it came out, and a lot of people seem to like it as well. And podcasts seem to be all the rage after I did mine. So that's, I'll keep doing this, and hopefully it'll turn out well and grow. So I still don't have a name for it. You guys suggested some stuff, and I like some of the suggestions. But I'm trying to stay away from the I thing. I don't really, because that kind of suggests it has to do with Apple. And now looking back at when I started my YouTube channel, it's probably a bad idea to start with an I, even though it wasn't really supposed to be anything about Apple. I just chose I because, I don't know, I just like the way it sounded. So I want to stay away from the I just because I want it to be a universal. It can work with anything. It's not like specifically with Apple or Android or anything like that. But you guys suggested some pretty good stuff, and I was thinking of kind of merging some of those together and coming up with a name. But for now, it doesn't have a name. But yeah, we'll figure that out later. And I also kind of want to make this, even though it's a tech podcast primarily, I kind of want to open it up to other things. So it doesn't necessarily have to be just tech. It could be stuff about my life or stuff that is just going on in the world. But yeah, that's still down the road. This thing is still a baby. It's still growing. We're gonna see where it goes. And also, it's my spring break, so I just took a shower and put on a shirt and didn't do my hair. Didn't do anything. So excuse my hair, even though I don't think it's that bad. But yeah, so Spring Breakers. I saw that movie, by the way. That's a scary movie. Don't watch that movie unless you're in for a weird ride. But I was thinking about doing a movie review on that on my vlog channel, which I might still do, but that was a weird movie. Let's just leave it at that. So today I'm going to talk about podcasts and what a podcast is and what podcasts I enjoy to use, or to watch rather. And also Android and why I use iOS, and also Android app support. So first of all, a podcast. So what is a podcast? I don't really know. I haven't looked up the definition or anything like that, but to me, a podcast is a place where you sit down and you just talk about what you want to talk about. So there's no rules, there's no laws against what you can and can't put on. It's the internet. You can put whatever you want, to an extent, of course. If you're using something like Ustream, you can't put like nudity and stuff like that. But besides that, you're pretty much anything you want to do is open, and you could do whatever you want to do. And that is a great avenue for content. So for me, I listen to maybe like 5 podcasts, like 3 on a regular basis. So the ones that I really love are the Adam Carolla podcast. He's kind of the pioneer, if you want to say. He's kind of the one that really set the podcast, at least now. When you think of a audio podcast, Adam Carolla is at the top of that list. And then so I listen to that every day. He puts one out every single day, which is crazy. And he has a whole bunch of other ones that I also listen to. But Adam Carolla's show is the one that I listen to every single day. And then Joe Rogan podcast is another one that I listen to. And these are all, I mean, you kind of have to like those people and those topics, which I do. And I just like listening to their opinions and what they have to say. So those are the ones that I listen to primarily. And I just like listening to stuff a lot. I like consuming content, but I don't know, I'm not really much of a reader. I don't know, when I read, I tend to zone out really fast. So when I listen to videos or when I watch videos, sorry, I keep looking over here. My computer's right here, and I noticed that I've been staring here pretty much the whole time. But yeah, so I kind of lost my track, and you can probably hear my facial hair. I kind of lost where I was talking about. But yeah, I don't know. A podcast is just one of those things where you can say whatever you want about any topic and you can get it out there for people to know. So that's why I like doing this, because I can tell you guys stuff that I wouldn't normally be able to in a normal video of mine, because that's just not the kind of videos I make. But in a podcast here, I can answer questions, I can talk about whatever I want, and I could just get that information out there, which is really nice. And I think it's really cool. So that's basically a podcast. If that doesn't make sense to you, then I guess podcasts aren't really for you. But podcasts are usually relatively long. So I'm doing a 20-minute one, or around 20 minutes. And that's actually pretty short for a podcast. Usually they're around, at least half an hour. But the ones I listen to, Adam Carolla's is an hour and a half. and Joe Rogan's is usually almost 3 hours. But I like that. I like the long form where I could just put it on and I could do whatever I want in my room here, just get work done, and it's playing in the background. I don't know. I like that distraction of listening to someone talk. So, yeah, I don't know. I like that. So let's move on to the next topic because I don't want to go on for too long about that. But so Android, why do I use iOS? And there's a few reasons. First of all, it's not like I don't use iOS or Android rather. I have the Nexus 4 full battery this time. And I love it. I have it fully customized the way I like, and I think it looks amazing. This is not to be like selfish or anything like that, but I think this is one of the best Android designs I've seen out there because I put it together. So obviously I'm going to like it better because it's exactly how I want it. And it does everything I want to do. Why do I use iOS? And the main thing, really, I can't show you on my iPhone because I'm using it. I'll show you on the iPad. Why do I use iOS? Well, the main thing is that I am extremely picky when it comes to design and fluidity. So Android has really come a long ways when it comes to design and the flow of the OS and how it works and how fast it is and how and the lag times. The lag has really gone down in Jelly Bean, which is great. But for me, it's just still not there. And plus, the design of Android itself I actually really like, but the design of the apps, I just can't stand most of them. They feel, people aren't going to like this, but they just feel old and out of touch. They don't feel modern at all. I'm talking about the apps because a lot of them are not updated to the Jelly Bean format or I forgot, the Halo design, which I think the Halo design, which is that black and blue, I think that looks awesome. But for the most part, it just doesn't feel sleek and modern, and I don't know, I just don't like that because I'm very picky. While the iPhone, I know it feels old to a lot of people, and to me it does too. It could use a refresh, and there's a lot of things that they could do that would make it even that much better. But just the design of some of the apps just blow my mind when I use them. And actually, the design of Google's apps on iOS are amazing. Like, they just kind of blow my mind when I use them. Like, the Gmail app is amazing. Like, just the way it looks, I can't explain, like, the feeling it gives me just to use it. Because it just, if you guys don't know, I'm going to school for graphic design. So design is something that, especially for apps and stuff, that's something that really matters to me. And just on iOS, it just seems to be a lot better. And that is the main reason I use the iPhone and iOS in general. It's not that I don't like Android. Android works just fine. If I had to use it, I would, but I don't have to use it, so I'm using iOS. And for the foreseeable future, I'm not switching over. And also the fluidity. So Android in 4.1 and 4.1 is Jelly Bean. So yeah, they came out with Project Butter, which helped a ton. There was, before 4.1 Jelly Bean, there was no way I would ever switch to an Android phone because of just the lagginess. People can say that it wasn't laggy, and they're just wrong. You can not care that it was laggy, and that's perfectly fine. That's your opinion. But it was laggy, and that's a fact. But with 4.1, the Project Butter really fixed a lot of those issues, and it really made it so that it wasn't a pain to use for me. So I could use it. It worked just fine. I got the Nexus 7 when 4.1 came out, and it was great. It worked just fine, and I liked how smooth it was. I could use that tablet all day. I actually used that before I got the iPad mini, obviously. And yeah, it was great. I liked it. It worked just fine. But there's still situations, and the iPhone does this too, so I don't want to say the iPhone's perfect, but there's still situations where, and they happen a lot, it's not a rare thing, where it's really laggy. So when I'm scrolling, or when I'm pinch to zooming, or just basic things that shouldn't be an issue at this point, it's 2013, they shouldn't be an issue. They're still an issue. And I'm not entirely sure why they're still an issue. It just doesn't feel like it should be that hard. I don't know. Obviously, I'm not a developer yet. But So I don't know how hard it is to actually fix these things, but it seems like they should be able to fix it by now. And they are very close with Project Butter. They're very close in 4.2. So hopefully in 5.0, all those issues will be fixed. But for now, they're just not. And they're minor things. So again, I can live with them. It's just when I have the option to not have those or to have those, I'm not going to have them. So that's why I use the iPhone. And also, another thing is, at least with the Android devices I have here, and for the most part, it's pretty much unanimous that the iPhone 5 is one of the best cameras on the market right now, for a phone, that is. And I'm also a photographer, so that is obviously a big deal to me. The Nexus 4 camera sucks. And it's all right, but it doesn't meet the bar for me. But yeah, so like the iPhone 5 and the Lumia 920 are the top of the line cell phone cameras right now. And so that's why I use the iPhone 5 over pretty much any other device. I still want to try the other devices because they're still really nice. The HTC One, I want that so bad. HTC, if you're watching for some odd reason, send me an HTC One because I want one. So that brings me, well, I kind of already talked about this. No, I didn't. Never mind. But the app support on Android. So what's going on with that? So this is actually in direct response to Tyler, T-Game and Tech. His video, he actually started a podcast too. He talked about app support and how it was kind of ridiculous that you can't get some of these apps that are out on iOS on Android, like Vine, for instance. That's the one he was talking about. And it is pretty annoying if you're an Android user that you can't get some of these apps on your Android device just because you use an Android device. And, I probably should have done some research before I started this because I don't have any of the facts or statistics off my head. So this could be completely wrong. So take this with a grain of salt before, or at least do some research on it if you're going to form your own opinions off of this. And yeah, I should have looked this up before. So sorry about that. But so let me form my idea here. So when you're looking at apps, I think it would be smarter to do it on iOS because there are still I don't know. This is hard to do without the actual statistics. I think it would be smarter to do it on iOS first because there are still a lot of people that use iOS. So yes, Android is picking up steam very quickly, but but there's still more people that use iOS. I think I haven't checked these statistics in a while. So if you're going to build an app and you want to see how it's going to do, you're going to build it for the biggest install base. So you're going to build it for iOS, and I think that's why they do that. So they want to see if it's going to work and if their idea is worth presenting. So they're going to build it on iOS, throw it out there. And on Apple, it's known for having the best app store and the best apps. So you're going to throw it out there. People are going to use apps more on a. Now again, I don't want to say take all this stuff with a grain of salt because these are kind of generalizations that aren't necessarily true. They're just kind of, this is what I'm thinking. So this is just an idea. But people use apps more on their iPhone or on their iPad because that is what has been ingrained into their brain, is that when you get this device, what makes it awesome is that you get apps. So people are going to be using the App Store a lot more. And I don't know if you can hear my dogs, but ignore them. But when you get an Android device, and Tyler also talked about this, about an article, which I believe I read as well, about people who get Android phones, they don't get them as a smartphone. And I think he misinterpreted what the person was saying. I think Tyler. I'm talking about Tyler here. And the article basically said that when people get an Android phone, they're not smartphone users. And I kind of see what they're saying because when you get an Android phone, a lot of the time, hold on, let me rephrase here. A lot of the time when someone goes in to get a phone, it's a parent, it's a grandparent, it's a mom, it's a dad. Necessarily, they're not going to be tech savvy. They're going to go into AT&T and they're going to say, I want one of these new phones that has apps. And then the person who works at Verizon store or AT&T store is going to say, oh, well, we have this over here. We have the iPhone and we have... Okay, well, they're going to say, okay, we have the iPhone over here. It costs $199 to get on contract. But over here, we have the Android phone, whichever Android phone, and you can get this free on contract. So they're going to say, well, I can run apps on both of them, so I'm going to get the free one. Why wouldn't I? And then that leads you are now having a lot of people that are getting Android devices that aren't necessarily smartphone users. They're just getting a phone that can do smartphone things, but don't necessarily use it to its full potential. And that doesn't really mean anything, but that's why I think there's so many Android phones on the market right now. Well, that's probably not a good thing to say, but I think that's where a lot of the Android phones are coming from, is from people getting these phones just because a smartphone is the thing to get. So they're getting the cheapest one they can get, and right now the cheapest one you can get is usually an Android phone, even though I know you can get them you can get like the 4 off contract right now, or not off contract but on contract for free. But okay, that was a big ramble. I don't really know where I was going with that, but that's kind of like, I still feel like there's more people on iOS. So when you're a business and you're making an app, you want to put it on the biggest platform because that's just what you want to do. So you're going to put it there, see if it works. And if it works, then you're going to expand to Android. And yeah, after thinking about what I just said, I don't know if that makes any sense, and I apologize. But I don't know. Hopefully that was just kind of a rant, and that was just more of a response to what Tyler was talking about in his video. So go check that out, and that is on his channel, T Game and Tech. So after that, I'm going to go ahead and end this. So hopefully you guys got something from that. And again, I'm not saying Android sucks or anything like that. I'm saying that I think a lot of the time when people get an Android phone, the people that are getting it are moms and dads and grandparents that want a smartphone, and they go into the AT&T or Verizon store, and the person tells them, we can get this one for free. And it's an Android phone. Not that that's bad. It's just, I think that's what a lot of people do. And I know a lot of people do that because I know a lot of people have done that. So yeah, let's go ahead and get away from that topic. It's confusing. There's a lot you could talk about that. But yeah. So this does not have a name. You guys can still leave the suggestions down below. And also, I'm thinking if you guys have something you want me to talk about, you guys can leave those in the comments below as well. I'm trying to come up with, like I said at the beginning, I'm trying to come up with a name, and your guys' help is greatly appreciated. Let me know if you guys like this, and I'll continue to keep doing them. I think I'm going to keep doing them. It's still kind of in beta, but I'm going to keep doing it, I think. So it's going to be weekly, every Wednesday. I think I did it last Wednesday, so that's why I'm doing it again this Wednesday. And yeah, so there is an iPad mini giveaway going on. Let's see if I can point to it. There's an iPad mini box. That's my iPad mini. You're not going to get that one. But with Tyler, T Game and Tech, go over it. Check out his video. Check out my video on my channel. If you're not entered and you're watching this, go enter. Yeah, that about wraps it up. Trying to think of something else that I might have to talk about. No, we're running up on 20 minutes here, so I'm going to go ahead and end this. I'll see you guys in my next podcast, and help me come up with a name. Leave your suggestions down below. I'll see you guys next time. See ya.